Hello and welcome to Things That Go, your go-to podcast for issues that have got to do with developing your mindset, changing the way you think, primarily also setting you up for what you need to get yourself going for. This is why we call it the Think, Set, Go. So we make you think about it, we provoke your thought process, we get you set, and we get you going. And today's episode, I'm joined by Eddy Mihigo, who is a well-known creative consultant across Botswana, Kenya, you go to Tanzania, you go to DRC, that's who he is. And today we're looking at the overview of the economy as far as the creative industry is concerned. Mihigo, how's it, man?
I'm good.
Always a pleasure to have you around.
Always pleasure to be around.
Yeah.
Glad to be here.
So Botswana is changing a little bit there and there. I'm seeing changes, but I'm not feeling them that much. What are you feeling now as far as the creative industry is concerned?
I think we are going in the right direction. I've always felt that. I'm never going to change that song. I think what needs to change is just our mindset just needs to change, as the government is saying. But I think in terms of changing the mindset, we need to start thinking more about ourselves, what we want, and what we want to do to get to where we want to go.
All right.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to give you a chance to just profile yourself.
Okay.
I can try to profile you, but I can't profile you as well as you do. So just
Okay.
profile yourself for us
Yeah.
to be able to get a clear picture of why we're here.
All right. So I am a creative consultant. So my job or my passion is just to think creatively on how we can solve problems, any kind of problems. I am from the DRC, but I've been in Botswana since the year 2000. And I have a bachelor's degree in environmental health. I know, it's very weird.
Yeah, of course.
Very
Creative
weird.
consultant.
It's very weird. And I'm actually working towards a master's degree in public health. Again, very interesting. But my passion has always been artistic expression, especially in the form of hip hop. I've been involved in the hip hop industry in 3 or 4 different countries over the last 25 years. So from Zambia to Botswana to South Africa to Namibia to Kenya, to the US. I've always been around what's happening in terms of artistic expression. So that I believe that has given me insight into how the industry works. And it's allowed me to kind of expand my reach a little bit into things like poetry, into things like, just music, and into management as well. So that's me in a nutshell.
All right. And obviously, your credentials on paper say something else, which is actually, that's where creativity comes into play. Right?
Yeah.
We all do the things that are not really aligned to what we do.
Yes.
And that is how creative we can be. Right? So now, looking at the creative industry, right? You've been to different countries.
Yeah.
Botswana has always been the youngest of all the countries you've been to, as far as I'm hearing the names. You look at South Africa and Botswana, Botswana is a baby. Zambia and Botswana is a baby, as far as the creative industry is concerned. Right? But are we getting up to the right speed in Botswana? Because as a consultant, you should have been able to analyze.
Yes. I think Botswana was actually what gave me the confidence to call myself a consultant. Because everywhere I went, it's like everybody was so far ahead of me, right? And I was having to really put myself in a position to learn. So what I've seen happening in Botswana over the years, because you have to understand, my base has always been Botswana.
Yeah.
For the last 20 years, it's always been Botswana. So I'll leave here with what I know from here, go somewhere, learn that I'm far off, come back, go somewhere else. But what's been happening is I'm seeing every time I go out and I come back feeling like, no, we're actually moving forward. Of course, when you're in a boat, right, and the boat is moving, you can't really tell.
You can't
tell that you're moving, right? But when you look at land, you see, oh, we're getting closer to land. That's how you can tell that you're moving. Or when you look at the sky, that's when you can tell. So you have to have a different perspective to know how you're moving. And that, I think, being able to travel allowed me to have that perspective. When I'm outside, I look back at Botswana in the perspective of where I am, and I see, oh, okay, actually, there's forward movement. It might be slow, but it's there. So I think we are making progress. I think a lot of the artists that I've spoken to in the last 3 to 5 years are starting to think differently. Okay. They're not just thinking about, oh, I'm a musician, oh, I'm a rapper, oh, I'm a poet. They're thinking, I'm a brand, I'm a businessman. How can I use my God-given talent, to monetize, make some money, and create something more sustainable? They're understanding that it's not just about your content, it's not just about the music. There's so much more that you can do with what you have. And I mean, I can give examples. There's artists that have gone into documentary making, right? There's artists that have gone into being media personalities in terms of being journalists, and there's artists that have gone into fashion, right? So they've understood that there's so much more you can do, and it's not just about your talent, basically. Yeah.
And I think that's one thing also that people tend to get wrong, right? We get to a point where we think that because I sang a song and it recorded, I'm supposed to be there. We forget that the minute you say the word creative, you're no longer saying set. You are creative because you're supposed to create. So you can't also put yourself in one space and say, I'm going to focus on the music.
That's right.
Yes, people will judge you and say your hands are everywhere, but it's how God made you. It's how your brain actually works. And I've seen a research that says that creative people are not normal. Their minds won't work like anybody else's mind. But when you look at Botswana now, when you've come back with wherever you've seen in other countries, don't you sometimes feel like when you try to propose something or pitch something, you are way ahead of your time when you come to Botswana?
You have to allow yourself to slow down. And that's why I love coming back to Botswana. I love Botswana being my base because it allows me to innovate. Yeah. You can't innovate when people are flying.
Yeah.
You can't do that. They're long gone. Most of the innovations have already happened. But in a quiet place, you're able to see the cracks, see the pockets, see what's not really working, and see whether what you bring back actually fits that environment. Yeah. Botswana allows you to do that. And so you'll find that, someone will come here with a big budget, right? So, I've got so much money, I want to do something. And they realize that, this country moves at a different speed.
Yeah, they become excited.
Yeah, and they realize, no, this place moves at a different speed, which is not a bad thing. So a lot of people are like, but you guys are too slow. And I always tell them, remember, slow, and there's a reason why we say slow and steady wins the race. Yeah. Right? When you move slow and steady, you're able to see every corner. And that's why most Botswana, and I'll say this, most Botswana, when they take their talent outside, they thrive.
They thrive, right?
Yes.
They blow
thrive.
up.
Yes.
Because we will always take that for granted. Like you look at the guy who went to Big Brother, right?
Yes.
He was a DJ here. He worked for RB2. And we know, he's a DJ, sure, Yeah. But the minute O'Neill became O'Neill Africa, it's like something else changed.
It's a big thing, yeah.
So, but it's also on the smaller things, even just jobs. Look at formal jobs. You go into the UN and the AU, see what Botswana are doing. Yeah. You'll be impressed. But what is that though? We can't express ourselves here. Is it because we're careful and we know how to place ourselves outside, or what is it?
I think the one thing we lack is self-awareness. Okay. Because when everybody knows everybody in Botswana. So I don't know you based on your professional or formal acumen. Yeah. I know you as that kid who used to run around in dirt 30 years ago.
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying? So when you come up and you have this huge proposal, this huge document, and you present it to say a local CEO of a company. Also, how's your dad? How's your father doing?
Yeah, that's the problem.
How's your grandma? Yeah. Your grandma used to feed me when I was a baby. So that's that. It's not a bad thing. Yeah. But what that does is it kind of disarms you in terms of your professional acumen and your professional confidence.
Kind of neutralizes your ability.
Yeah, that's right, your professional ability. Yeah. I mean, it's a good thing because if somebody likes you as a person, they will invest in whatever you're trying to do, regardless. You see, that's the advantage. The disadvantage is if it's strictly business, then it's very difficult for you to stick specifically to that. Yeah. So when we go outside, right, now it's just you, your qualifications, your achievements, and what you're trying to do, right? And when you get into a room and you present and you pitch and you just stick to that, people will judge you based on specifically that. It's not whether they like you or they don't like you. Does your idea make sense? Does your proposal, is it feasible? Is it practical? If it is, you get what you wanted, what you came for, you move on, you put it to action. And that is why we thrive. Yeah. That is why we thrive.
Yeah, but again, so another thing that people keep saying is that we don't thrive locally because we don't support local. But that's a human thing. I mean, even the guys in the Bible have said the same thing. You know what I mean? But how do we get people to appreciate? Now, forget the person. let's forget about Eddy or Kaelo and say, okay, there's an art or there's a talent or there's a creative skill that's being portrayed here. When do we get people to understand that? Because the generation of parents that we've had is when you like music the most, they're like, yeah, he's going to play more Baring. You know what I mean? So that's a mindset thing, a perception that we have. How do we now get the country to understand that this guy can actually end up driving a Bugatti because of what he's doing, but the first thing I have to do is understand that I have to buy the local product or the local music?
I think in this one, I've learned that time is what it takes.
Yeah.
Time and consistency. Because the more people hear you, right? The more people hear you, the more people see you, different, channels from within the country to regionally to internationally, eventually they start taking you seriously, right? So if you're consistent, if you really value that longevity, you're going to make sure that every year or every 6 months or every 3 months, you put something out for people to consume. You cannot force people to buy your content, right? But the more they see you, the more they have that perception that, oh, actually, looks like this guy is getting somewhere. And then after a little bit of time, you're like, okay, so, where can we actually get to access your stuff if we want to? That's when the interest starts building. Mm-hmm. And that's not just here, that's everywhere in the world. What I'm seeing now in Botswana, sadly, is when an artist now is starting to get the recognition, they can't afford to be consistent anymore, because they've spent themselves, they've invested so much, and they felt like they weren't getting that return. And now it's almost a little too little too late, But everywhere else I've been, there's a guy I met in South Africa, for example. His sister was telling me, he's like, we used to laugh at this guy, like when he was doing this thing with his camera and having people freestyle for him. And now he's got a show on SABC, he's syndicated on SABC. Yeah. And he's shooting a documentary and he's on the biggest stage in South Africa doing his show there. I can't believe it. This thing is actually feeding the family. But it took time. And this dude was consistent. He kept knocking, he kept being turned down, and eventually the door was open.
Yeah, but I think then that brings out this other element of impatience, right?
Yeah.
As young people are impatient, and we're impatient with what we do, we're impatient with our time, and we're even more impatient with the system and our elders, right? I don't expect my father to understand when I tell him, look, I'm coming to your farm and I'm going to transform it and I want to build a cold room and a slaughterhouse, whatever. I expect him to say, yes, go, because I saw it and I think it's going to work. But that's another, how do you build patience in a system where the bill is knocking at the door? Yeah. One or the other, you have to pay your rent, you have to pay your bills.
That's right.
But people don't seem to be catching up to what you want to reach to your pocket.
So you have to, when I initially, some years back, I wanted to just drop out of college and just do music. Yeah. Right. And at the time, I was a musician. I was a musician because, for lack of a better term. And my parents were like, nah, listen, go to school, get your degree. After you get your degree, do whatever you want. You will thank us later for that. Yeah. All right. I was groveling. I was like, nah, but this thing, it's really, I feel like I'm getting somewhere, because honestly, at that time, I felt like I was getting somewhere because I won a big competition, went on an international trip. It was awesome. But what I didn't know was I didn't have any bills to pay.
Yeah.
I was getting a monthly allowance. Mm-hmm.
You could always go back home.
Exactly. You see, so I was thinking from a place of privilege. You see, but now, any day of the week, I can be an environmental consultant because I have the qualifications to do that. Yeah. Right? I can be a sustainability consultant because
you can even guide productions and content or music around sustainability.
That's right. So it gives me so much more in terms of the day-to-day that I need in order to survive. Yeah. You see. So, and what you find is even internationally, most artists will still go back and do a course. Yeah. You do a business course or marketing course, even after they've become huge artists. Why? Because they understand that you need something to pay the bills.
Yeah.
Creativity does not exist to pay bills. Unfortunately, it doesn't. Creativity is meant to be consumed. And you know, whatever is consumed, either you like it or you don't.
Yeah. And again, you're not the one to make the money.
Mm.
In reality, is that you look at people thinking that creative people are making the money. You're not the one to make the money. The country makes the money off of you. Because that's the GDP. Everyone else make money out of you. You look at cell phone networks. They're going to make money because of you.
Boss,
you are not going to make it.
Your lawyer makes money off of you.
Exactly.
Your videographer makes money off of you.
You are meant to create employment and
for everybody else. Yes, so you have to set yourself up to be part of that chain as well. Mm-hmm. And the only way to do that is to literally learn something formally that gets you a piece of paper, that allows you to get into an office, apply for a job, right? And then earn a salary. I'll tell you, I'll give you an example. International renowned producer, Dr. Dre, right? This guy was already big, huge, multimillionaire. Him and his partner put this company together called Beats by Dr. Dre, right? They released this product. It's a huge hit. It can survive in the market on its own. Do you know what they do? They sell it to who? They sell it to was it Apple? Yeah, right? But you know what else they did? They got themselves jobs in that very building.
Yeah. So they got themselves employed with their own product.
That's right.
And I think you get the same thing happening with other social networks that you've seen around.
Yeah.
Guys do that. And that's the thing also. When do we know to do that? Because you start something and it's a success. Someone knocks on your door. I want to buy this from you. And you're like, no, this is my sweat and blood. I'm not giving it away. How do we get people to understand that at some point you created it, let it go, but make money from it now passively?
Yes. I think that should always be the goal, right? I always say, I ask artists when they release a song, what's the point of the song? Why are you releasing the single? You're going to shoot a video, you're going to spend money. The recording, you're going to spend money. Even just circulating it to radio stations.
Even winning an award, you have to spend money.
You have to spend money. But, so what's the point of the song? Well, I just want to make a hit. But why?
Yeah.
Why do you want to make a hit? I want to be the biggest artist in the land. Okay, that's fine. But why? They can't answer. And I tell them, you want to get booked.
Yeah.
Because once you get booked, you stop having people make money off of you. Now you start making money off of the promoter.
I mean, which actually makes sense. You release a song, it becomes a ringtone. The ringtone is not what is making money for Mascom or Orange or whoever. What's making money for them is the fact that the ringtone exists there. It gets people to buy some other things. They're buying airtime and daytime, whatever, everything else. So artists or the creative people mostly, and I will zoom into musicians because primarily that's who gets affected the most, right? They don't understand their brand equity, and they don't understand that they can diversify with what they've done.
Yes.
Right? I've seen guys who write songs and then sing them. And I'm like, but why are you singing this song?
You could literally for me
someone, to feel, the guy writes a very sad, painful song. Yeah. He's using his voice. I'm not feeling the pain. Just give it to someone who can make me cry.
And then what do you do? What you do is, once you do that, you get writing credit.
Yeah.
And you get royalties paid to you. Passive money, like you said. But that has to start from the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, it has to start. Most of the guys who made you to tell you, from the beginning, I knew that my creativity is a gift. I didn't earn it.
Yeah.
And what is given freely can be taken away.
Yeah.
So I have to be very quick to turn it into something sustainable and something that can feed me and my family. Yeah. What did they do? Some of them stopped singing altogether after they realized they wrote better than they sang. They became writers.
Yeah.
And they wrote for some of the biggest artists in the world, and now they're earning passive money. These people don't have to sing another song for the rest of their lives, right? Some of them became artists and fashion designers. You see, some of them became artists and actors. If you do a survey in African in the United States with African Americans, say between 1988 and 1998. You find that most of the artists that came out during that time, their mind was on acting.
Yeah.
They
went to Hollywood.
Exactly. because they're like, that's more sustainable. I'm gonna take acting classes. I'm gonna earn my stripes, and I'm gonna become an actor. You see, so music, or this raw artistry that we're talking about, is specifically to allow you to do other things.
Yeah.
Now,
to put you in a platform that can take you somewhere else.
Now, there's other things like fine art, which is different because the fine art journey is the opposite of the musical journey. The fine arts journey, you go to school. Go to school, you learn this, you learn that, and then you struggle until you find yourself. And the moment you find yourself, you blow up. Yeah. It's like an uphill, it's like the graph goes upwards.
Yeah, and it keeps going because even if you don't do another piece, the other pieces gain value over time. And then that's where the painful thing comes. You look at someone who did music and the person who's on fine art. They keep going up. Your value keeps going down.
Yes. So what do? You have to understand your shortcomings.
Yeah.
And the shortcomings of the industry that you're in. Use it as a springboard and apply that elsewhere. And then you'll see, you'll succeed.
Right. Yeah. So now that's what people are trying to do. So now let's look at systems that are coming into place. People are making efforts. People are making choices. People are creating content, Now, the industry is another space. And the industry here, for a country like Botswana, unfortunately, will always seem like we are banking too much on government, but we're such a small country that the biggest buyer of any product in the country is government and the beers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we can't go to the beers. We don't know what they do. Yeah. We know government takes care of us and loves us. The beers don't have to love us. They don't know us. You know what I mean? Yeah. So systems in place. Back in the day, it was difficult. And I've always given people this example. I've always said to people, look, Botswana was born in 1965, right? And when Botswana was born in 1965, what that did is that it created a space for the country to be there. So the first president, not in a bad way, right? You'd consider them a teenage mother, just got a baby. Of course, he was educated and he knew what he was going to do, but he just got a baby. He had to also compete with this baby to get that baby to grow to a certain level, right? That's one thing. Then the second president who came in, and that's Masire. Masire became the mother and father at the same time, who's now raising a child to become something. Morai comes in and meets this child now who has to go to school. Morai focused on making sure the child is healthy, the child goes to school. Then came Khama. Khama came, that's what an adolescent stage of the country.
That's right.
It's an adolescent and teenage stage of the country where anything can happen.
And you have to bring out a stick.
Yeah, exactly.
Beat the child into submission.
And that is what it was. Yeah. Then comes in MEK. Look, Masisi comes in. He is in a stage where the guy's a teacher. That's what we got to remember. The guy's a teacher, right? He comes in to a space where he says, it's time for you to do it. He's that parent who says to you, get out there, go and get a job, go and grow up, go and sort yourself out. And we forget to count the stages. We can't keep blaming anyone. You know what I mean? Masisi is taking someone who's now just turned 18 and has picked up into responsibility.
That's right.
In country years, we are 18 years old. We just finished our teenagehood, jumping up and down, going there and there, making mistakes, getting whooped and all that. Now, he's saying, everything has been done.
Yeah.
As your parent, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I bring this guy here for you to present your CV and present yourself.
That's right.
Then he brings, you look at the other best side of the business, bringing investors and whatever. Creative industries, I know it's controversial, but he brought that Steve Harvey guy.
Yeah.
And that was him saying, there are people doing big things.
Yes.
But are we able to pick up on that, to realize that, okay, it's time for it now, we must carry ourselves, or as they say it, and this particular person who's in charge of this country now is saying, get out, go get a job, go get a name, go get a job in UN, go get your music out there, go get your platforms there. Now, these are happening. There's an arts council all of a sudden. Sports is giving more money, art is giving more money. All these things are happening. Do we know how to pick up on those two?
I think, like you said correctly, these things are happening. I don't think there's a lot of countries in the world that can say they've held the Forbes under 30 in their nation 3 years in a row.
And they're doing it 3 years in a row, and it's coming now, and it's going so well. Yeah.
So not a lot of countries can see that. And with that comes a lot of outside influence, of outside presence. And like, again, you've said, these things are there. It's not like it's a promise and then it doesn't happen. It's happened already. So you also want the president to be in the room to grab your arm and say,
until you feel this form.
Kaelo, come meet Steve Harvey. Kaelo, this is me. You really want him to do that too? Like
that's the difficult thing.
And that's the song I'm singing. I'm saying, guys, the government will do what the government is supposed to do. Yeah. You have to meet them halfway.
They have a job. The job is make sure the country I'm in has got less crime.
Yes.
There's peace.
Yes.
There's platforms, there's policies, there's systems.
Opportunities, all of that. Yes.
So we can't say government didn't do anything.
They are doing what they're supposed to.
Of course, they didn't do anything for me personally.
Specifically.
Because I haven't come out to go and get it.
So, and again, you want government to come and knock at your door. Go in bad. Go brush your teeth. Okay, the car is waiting outside. Jump in. Come on. So part of what we have to do, set yourself up. Have a CV that makes sense. Right? Work for free. And people hate hearing that word.
Yeah, but we've done a lot of free work. I mean, we're getting to where we're trying to get it.
But here's the thing. Is your free work notable?
Yeah.
Is it something that we can put on paper to say, yes, we as organization X can attest to the fact that this gentleman, this lady came, worked for us, added value, and here's the product that she helped build. Can you say that about your free work?
Yeah.
Because if you say, all I did was hold the cable, you didn't do anything. All I did was just, I was in the corner writing notes. You didn't do anything. That's just free time. That's not free work. Yeah. Work has a starting point, has a goal, it has value, and it has return on investment.
Yeah.
And the return on investment is that piece of paper, that recommendation, that reference that you get, which is verifiable, so that when Steve Harvey is standing in front of you and says, so what have you done? You can show him your file. I've done this, I've done that. Oh my goodness, you have experience. I can work with you. If your CV is just one piece of paper.
Yeah. And doesn't really account to you being alive. Exactly. There are CVs out there that don't account to why you've been alive.
Yeah. You just exist here, nothing else. I have 2 CVs. I have a CV that is focused towards my professional career. Right? So that one, if you want to know about environmental health, occupational health, and public health, there's a CV for that. Yeah. I have a CV, actually I have 3. I have a CV that deals with marketing specifically, with the marketing work that I've done. And then I have a portfolio of the creative work that I've done.
Yeah.
You see, so if you put all that together, you get me. So some people ask me, I want to know who Eddy is. Send me everything that is about you. I send them all 3. They appreciate, this is what you've done in the time that you've been alive on this planet. You see, and it's all verifiable. You can call these numbers, check, they'll tell you, we've worked together. You see, and if I charged for all of that work, I'll be a billionaire right now.
Yeah.
The reason I haven't is because you also need that trail, that paperwork. And it's strange because the person who would tell me I can't work for free is not working.
They're sitting at home.
Exactly. So, what value are you adding? None. In any case, you're not adding any value. You're actually just wasting the precious electricity, of the household where you're in. So that's our half is work. Do the work, build a foundation for yourself so that when these people come, they find a base, they find a demographic of people who are valuable.
I've always had this, right? Like, wow, when these people are coming in, they're already connections set. Politicians already put their friends there. They're going to be there. They're going to take their friends. And because of that, I never presented myself out there, right? And that is where it comes in, the mindset of saying that politicians are corrupt. Of course, politicians are corrupt. That's
is
no
everywhere.
secret.
Everywhere.
Those guys are corrupt.
Everyone
right?
is corrupt.
Yeah, power corrupts.
Yeah.
Now, every time when an opportunity comes, like, Steve Harvey's, someone's cousin, someone's dad, Minister Asmamang and their cousin, and that they're going to be. And so because of that, you don't present yourself, right? Yeah. I think we need to get people that is out there to say, yeah, of course they're going to be corrupt and bring their cousin first, but I'm going to beat that cousin on the platform.
Exactly. That's, you know what we call that? We call it disruption.
Yeah.
Disruption is when you have a status quo. Mm-hmm. This is how things run.
Yeah.
And then this rock comes from left field and just lands and breaks everything apart. Yeah. But that action actually helps make things better.
Yeah.
If you walk into a room and people are having the most boring discussion in the world and you crack a joke, people are gonna laugh. Mm-hmm. And that's what creativity is. That's what expression is. Yeah. And what you find is creative people, I don't know if they do or they should or they ought to be the most fearless people ever. Mm-hmm. We're the ones who are supposed to just bomb rush a meeting and say, yo, my name is so-and-so, here's my CD. Actually, let me play it for you. I've got a radio right here. I'll play it for you now. You play it for 5 seconds, security comes and takes you out. Yeah. But guess what? You made an impact. Yeah. That's what we need to do. That's what we need to do. And every platform I've been on, I'll tell you, in some platforms, I have to hustle to get there. Mm-hmm. But when I'm there, when people see my face, they're like, you're here.
They don't even know how you got
exactly.
there. Exactly. Yeah.
Right. But it's not even about, I want once I'm with you, right? And the goal was for me to be with you. Now, why should I tell you about my life story and how I had to work from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. to get myself here? That's not the opportunity. I'm here in front of you. You're saying, okay, I'm glad you're here. Let's have a conversation. You shoot.
Yeah, so now that's another thing. Packaging yourself.
Yes.
A lot of young people don't know how to package themselves. Mm-hmm. So I've been actively saying, in my daytime, I've only got 4 hours to do anything for myself in the whole day. So I went and I posted around saying, look, I'm looking for someone to co-host Think, Set, Go with me. Mm-hmm. I want someone who's fresh, a new face, a new voice. Come out, tell me who. People are saying, hey, but how do I compete with you? No, you're not here to compete with me. You are here to level up and beat me at what I do.
That's right.
So that I find myself irrelevant enough to not sit here, but rather stand behind the camera.
That's right.
I'm happier behind the camera. Yes. I'm happier starting fires. Mm-hmm. And they say, no, but it's so difficult. I'm like, don't look at me, but look at yourself. Where do you want to level yourself up to? Mm. So how do we get these young people, or everyone, even old people, because there are old people out there who are leaving jobs because of retrenchment, right? Yeah. Not retirement. Oh, but these buggers have got brains. You've been working for 40 years, developing policies for government, and you want to tell me you're going to look at cattle in the farm?
And you know what's funny about that one? The government actually has set it so that these guys can still add value even after they retire.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm not lying.
But they're not used to being independent.
But they're not, yeah.
So how do we get them to know how to package themselves? Botswana packaging themselves to say, okay, there's an opportunity that's happening. There's a new event that's coming to Botswana. I know I probably don't know my profile there and I haven't quoted, but I'm going to present myself there. How do I package it?
I think sharing of information is very important. Right. I always say that in the world, if you put a rock in front of someone and you leave them with the rock in a room, they're going to figure out what to do with that rock. Yeah. Either they're going to write on the wall, either they're going to throw that rock on the window. They'll figure out something to do with the rock. Yeah. So access to information is very important. Now, how do we access information? Workshops is one thing, you know? And we have to, again, this thing of I want to make money, right? We need to get it out of our system. Mm. You want to empower people. You want to empower yourself. Once you empower yourself, you won't even have to chase money. It will come to you because everybody is looking for service. Yeah. Everyone. So free workshop means, I'm doing a small 20-minute workshop on how to build your CV. Mm-hmm. 20 minutes only. Yeah. After that 20 minutes of the free workshop, if 10 people have come through, 2 people will come, okay, thank you so much for the information. I value it. Can you help me build my CV? You see, actually, you know what? I charge $50 an hour. You can come to my office or we can meet somewhere and I'll do it for you. That person will pay that $50 because they want that information.
Yeah.
You see, But what you've done also, you have 8 people who now have gone from 0 to 5. They're not at 10 like those 2 who reached out to you. At least they're at 5. The problem is we don't want to do that. I'll give you a personal example. I want to put together a workshop for artists to learn about syncing their songs, so that they can get on international movies, international series. And I reached out to a gentleman who's in Nigeria, who's a sync expert. And, I'm just reaching out on LinkedIn. And he says, no, if, I can charge so and so and so for the workshop. Now, there's 2 ways I can react to that. I can react to that as a typical person who wants to make money, which is, I don't have money.
Yeah.
Finished. Right? Or I can think creatively and say, okay, listen, I don't have the budget to do this for money, but can we do an introductory course for free? Right? You only speak for 20 minutes. Just introduction. And then from there, we see who is interested in taking your full course, and then they can charge for it.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. And the gentleman was like, oh, I love that idea. Let's do that. Actually, when you're ready, send me everything so I can also blow it up. Maybe guys in Nigeria or everywhere in the world will want to attend virtually. You see, so because of knowing what my goal is, and my goal not being money, I made the right decision. So that's all we need to do.
And actually, come to think of it, I did a public speaking presentation once.
Yeah.
Once. And I was not even part of the panel. I was just sitting there. And I ended up going up and saying, look, people need to know how to talk. And so one of the speakers actually was talking, but I couldn't get anything. So then I came out to say that. That same person came out to me and said, look, I don't know how much you're going to charge me, but I need to learn how to do it.
That's right.
So I think sometimes we don't know how to package ourselves out there.
And because it's not
we're afraid.
We're scared. Yeah. We're scared. And it's a fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
Because if you're in a room and you don't stand up, you haven't done anything.
Yeah, you're just
there.
You've shot aircon.
Yeah, that's it. Now imagine you are worried about standing up and you still don't stand up.
Yeah.
You've worked yourself up. Got yourself,
your cortisol has gone up, your stress has gone up.
All that energy spent for nothing. Rather, stand up and say nothing.
Yeah.
At least you stood up. Right? And, I wanted to ask a question, but I'm nervous. 2 things will happen. Either you run out of the room, right? Which is flight. Or you'll say, I'm nervous, but let me try and frame it in some way. Right? And what will happen is the people you're asking the question to will assist you.
Yeah.
And even if you run out of the room, someone after the thing is done will go after you and say, so what did you want to ask? Maybe I can assist in some way.
You almost had a point there.
Exactly.
Next time, phrase it
like this. So you get a chance to learn something. But if you do nothing, even if you want $1 million, if you do nothing,
it's not coming.
It's not coming. It doesn't exist.
And this is the thing again. The same people who are afraid of this, right? They pray, all right?
Let's not go there.
You are praying. Okay, sure. Congratulations. You know how to kneel down, right? Are you able to stand up from that prayer to go and activate that which you ask God to do for you? Yeah. God, I want a job. I'm on my knees. Am I able to stand up from my knees and pick up my CV and walk out of the door at least? Then God will sort out the way, kind of thing. And that's it. So the same people who can pray that way, why can't they have the confidence to just stand up and get things going?
Yeah. I think we have to learn. Like I said, these workshops, they work wonders. Like 2 years ago, I went to Durban, right, to a huge conference. And I left that conference a different person, right, because I started valuing myself a lot more because of the magnitude of the conference itself and the people I was rubbing shoulders with. And you have these guys who make their companies billions, who look at you and say, that's a good point.
Yeah.
You realize, actually, I have a brain and it works. And it's actually spitting gold right now. And these guys are appreciating what I'm saying, you know? So these workshops are very important. And personally, I really try every month just to put together a small workshop, just to either to give information or just to encourage someone to say, no, you're on the right track. You know, in Botswana, unfortunately, because we're small, right? People think we have a culture of not patting people on the back when they're doing a good job. I always say that's not the case. 9 times out of 10, they are watching.
Yeah.
They're actively watching what you're doing and they're nodding. They're like, yeah, actually, this is making a lot of sense. And then, of course, once it's done, we'll switch off the TV and go into other things. Now, do this. Do that for like 3 days. And then the 4th day, don't do anything.
Yeah.
The 5th day, you get a bunch of messages. What happened?
What happened to you?
Where did you go? You see what I mean? So that's why when we say consistency, we say lock yourself in. Lock in. Don't worry about who's watching, who's liking, who's not liking. Focus on your product. Focus on something that works for you. If you have a podcast and you're going to do 1 guest a month, make sure that every month you have your episode out. Yeah. Right? If you have a song or an album that you're working on and you want to release 1 song a week, make sure that every week you announce that, this song is out. It's as simple as that. The rest is not up to you. My cousin told me something. Actually, my brother-in-law told me something. He said, you know what, Eddie? If you do what you're doing now, say nobody sees it, but you put it out there. You do it for 5 years. In 5 years, you look back. You have a library. Yeah. But if you wait for people to say something or to do something, you will have nothing. Because our natural state is to get the information we want and then to move on with our lives. And this is why we have things like awards, like recognition ceremonies. We force ourselves to appreciate. Yeah. So that the world can see, this is the person who found the cure for X. Or this is the person who created the most jobs for this country last year. But as creatives, we just create. One of my mottos is art exists for its own sake. Yeah. Art doesn't exist to make you money. It only exists for the sake of art. Everything else comes after.
And the impact is not for you.
It's not for you.
It's to be felt by someone else elsewhere. It's the same thing. I see this baskets from Maung. Yeah. So what? You know what I mean? It's like,
we play around with those things and
you know what I mean? I'm not the target market for them. But someone else comes, sees that they just wonder what is, then they take it. Yeah. And they're gone with it. So I think that we need to also understand in ourselves, to build ourselves to know that I'm doing this and it might not necessarily help me, but someone else is going to benefit from it. Exactly. There are people now who are rich because their fathers played music many years ago and they died.
That's right.
Now
they're the ones who are making the money.
The catalog is now paying out. Yes. So I think we need to also look at that. Like, it's not about, I always tell people, and I say, I'm not afraid of dying, but I'm worried if I die and I haven't left any mark.
Exactly.
Yes, I will not see that I left a mark. Yes, I will not feel that I left a mark. But I've seen people whose parents have left a mark. And I feel I want my kids, when I die, whether they bury me or they don't bury me or whatever happens, but they'll say, but this man did this. So I think we need to understand that the creative world is also in that space. To say, if it pays you 1 hour pop, you can hit a jackpot and get paid. Yeah. But that's a temporary pay. Yeah. The mark you've left is what then defines what comes forward.
Do you know what we call that? We call that legacy.
Yeah.
Legacy is what remains after you've gone. Yeah. So what are you going to leave behind? Most people, money. Money doesn't gain value. It loses value.
Probably don't even buy your coffin because they're going to fight over your money before they pay for your coffin even.
But those who left, for example, royalties.
Yeah.
That's legacy. That means in perpetuity, if you carry this person's name, you'll get something. Whether it's 0.5%, 1%, 2%, you will get something. If you have an asset, this microphone is an asset. Yeah. These lights are an asset. The cameras are assets. Someone, your son will walk into this room and say, what can I do with this? That once someone walks in and says, these things used to belong to my father, or let me see what I can, that's it. Wherever you are resting, rest peacefully.
Yeah. And that peace actually comes into action. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and that's, I don't like to talk about legacy too early.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it can be a burden. Because everything you do, you start asking yourself, is this big enough of a legacy to leave to my seeds? But like you said, that will come. Mm-hmm. For now, create. Yeah. Create, put yourself out there, find the best way to get your creation out to the people, and find ways to express yourself. Yeah. Express yourself. Whether you anger people, whether you make them cry, whether you make them laugh, right? If you get emotions out of people,
you've actually shown them that human.
That's right. And your job is done. And that's why one of my favorite artists, one of my favorite young artists is Ozzy F. Teddy. Yeah. And that's because he knows how to get emotions out of people. Whether it's laughter or anger.
Yeah, and it can piss you off.
Exactly. And you do it through the music.
Yeah.
Through the music. And I'm like, and people, no, but this kid, I'm like, listen, this kid is a genius. Because if he can say A and you react, then his art is working.
The art is working.
The art is working.
He's vibrating himself.
That's right.
Literally. You know what I mean? So now, we've got these things going. We want people to get to a certain point, and we want to see a bit of a change in life. Look at what now is happening in Botswana. Yes, it's election year. A lot of police are going to come out there. A lot of programs are going to come out there. Money is going to flow out there, right? Then you hit a jackpot now. Election goes away for 4 years. Then you are stuck, right? How do we capitalize on what we've done now to make sure that at least it sustains us for the next few more years?
So I believe you shouldn't be stuck, regardless.
Okay.
I think now is the time to really learn how the system works. Because right now the system is open for everybody.
Yeah, it's the right time.
It's open for everyone. If you want to do something, this is the best time to do it. I mean, we did a breakdown a few weeks ago of the budget speech, right? And I further broke it down for the creative sector, and I put it out on LinkedIn because that is information. Right? And even in 10 years' time, if you wanna see, what did the 2024 budget, what did they say they were gonna do for the creative sector? You can go back to that piece of paper and read it. We need to understand the system. Because if you understand how the system works when it's open, you will have the lock, the keys to the lock once it's closed. You see. And to do that, hey man, like you've said yourself, be as many things as you can right now. Don't worry about where you're gonna get it or where you're not going to get it. Just make sure you are everywhere. Because if you apply over here, okay, it's recorded, you applied there. If you apply there, or there's a grant over there, you apply. But also keep working. Don't start. It's not like you're just sitting on your hands and saying, now I'm just waiting for the grant. No, you're also putting in work. You're also adding value, not just to other people, but to yourself. So that next year, the year after that, we might get 25% of what we're getting now. But you'll be there.
You'll be there. Sometimes
you're too table.
People can remember your name because they read it somewhere. They saw your CV somewhere, they saw your name, and they moved on. When they meet you in person now, they'll be like, but I know this name. So you at least record yourself somewhere. Get your footprint somewhere.
Thank you. Yes, I like the idea of footprint. Just make sure that you are somewhere in that ecosystem. Because again, when the system is closed, right, that's when it's difficult. That's when it's really about, okay, what connections do you have? And you'll bump into someone that we've been looking for someone to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But the people we've been getting we know them, but we feel like they're not really
up to
what we expect. But I remember there's this podcast that you did, and it was really cool, and I like the production value. And I know I didn't think about it then, but now that I meet you, can we have a meeting and talk about it? That's what's going to happen next year and the year after that. So if you don't have any references, if you don't have any content or any work that you've done, it's going to be tough. You're going to be left outside.
Yeah, because a lot of guys look, rightfully so, a lot of guys are crying now that they're doing content and they're getting paid, right? Unfortunately, when you look at some of these companies that are out there that have got this content sitting on them, they don't really care about small countries, right? But the more you push your content out there, the more you flood your content out there, the more it's seen everywhere. I've seen how these things work. Now you look at things like TikTok.
Yeah.
The algorithm is like you see it once. And if you dare scroll down on that thing, they are going to give you that content for the rest of the time.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, and you can't control it beyond.
No, you can't.
So people now are trying to create, and some are afraid the quality might not be right. It might not say the right things, but create.
Exactly. I always say it's about your story.
Yeah.
It's more about your story than it's about the tools you use to create that story. Before you find tools, you have to find you have to have a story to tell.
Yeah.
If you're telling your story on a broken phone, look at these, the Ikudoro boys.
Yeah.
Those guys those kids were doing their funny trailers with wheelbarrows, with mops. And then guess what happened? Hollywood sent them a bunch of equipment.
Yeah.
You see, but they had to start with what they had. What did they have? They had a story to tell. You see, so tell your story. Use what you have. You're going to use a broken phone with a line in the middle. Use it. Someone will see the value in your story and say, okay, you know what? Let me add value to this person. Here's a brand new Samsung. Use that. Actually, I'll say it now. Use one of those. Then this is free of charge. You have a story to tell. Get an old Samsung phone.
Yeah.
You grainy, cloudy. Use it. And then whatever you post, tag Samsung.
Yeah, I mean, it becomes embarrassing to see. You'll be like, hey, we've got better technology than that. Eh?
And you keep saying, oh, I'm using my old Samsung. Hey, man, but you know what? Here's story time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Tag Samsung. You know what Samsung was like? You know what, my guy? Come to the shop. We've got a package for you.
Yeah.
And you go there. And don't go to the shop without your old Samsung.
Come, record with your old Samsung.
Exactly. Walking into Samsung with your old Samsung. Yeah. And then the following video you do.
You make sure that it shows the difference that
you're going tried and tested.
Right? So now, a lot of times we don't show up. Right? Showing up is one of the things that people apparently say make up 80% of your success. Just showing
up. Yes.
Right? Yeah. But can you just show up? Can you just show up? Like there's an event happening and you just show up. How do you get yourself to show up? How do you know that this I must show up to and this is how I must present myself?
You have to research. You have to research. You have to get access to information. The beauty about 2024 is everything is there. You already know who's coming for the first 30 under 30. You know Nick Cannon is coming. So how many comedians have their skit on lock? How many episodes of Wild 'N Out have you watched?
Yeah. And I think that's where now it comes into building that with people. Like, do I know the sector I'm in and what kind of energy and drives?
Do you know the minister of your sector? Do you know the permanent secretary? Do you know how that ministry is broken down?
Yeah.
Do you know where to knock if you want to get information?
Yeah.
Do you know where to drop off your proposal outside of the normal, oh no, we have a call for proposals. If you just have an idea, do you know who to speak to in the ministry?
Yeah, so that's why I think that knowledge is very important.
It's very important.
Half the time we always take out and assume that the things, right, that are out there are not meant for us. This information, why should I know it? When a new minister is appointed, you don't even know. You don't even care to wonder.
But you know what?
The Minister of Tourism has been removed.
Yeah, but you know what? That you are given that information.
It's there.
It's there. Every time there's a cabinet reshuffle, there's a paper that's given. And that paper is not free. All that stuff costs money.
Yeah. But it's been floated everywhere.
Exactly.
You are sitting on Facebook and you see it coming because it says BW government. You just scroll it up. You move on. You look at something else.
So we need to change our approach. And I love the idea of, the tagline of mindset change.
Yeah.
And, and people will say, no, Eddie, it's just government propaganda. Okay, sure. But what does it mean to you? How do you take that and flip it?
Because again, we also want to receive it that way. Right?
Yeah.
You know what they call it? And even in the news, right? They call it it's a government program for mindset change. It's a
presidential program. Yeah.
The minute you do that, you've destroyed the whole thing. You've lost it.
Yeah.
So people treat it like Temoletoto or Youth Fund. Yeah. People think that this is a YDF. They think of it as if it's just a government program, East Part, whatever.
And it's not.
So we are losing it there, that we take this information and we dilute it by not expressing it okay and not receiving it okay.
Yeah. So you have to personalize it. Okay, fine. It's going to do what it's going to do to the people who instituted it. Yeah. But what does it mean to you?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And when you figure that out, you're good. You're gonna exist beyond that program. And then, for 3, 4, 5, 10 years. A lot of people now are understanding that they don't need government.
And that's a mindset change.
Yes. Yeah. A lot of people, and I'm seeing that a lot in the creative side. A lot of guys are like, you know what? I'm going to do my own thing. And I'll tell you, one of the first times I saw that was with Drummer Boy. When Drummer Boy left the label he was signed to and said, you know what? I'm just going to build my brand by myself. I'm going to do my tours by myself. I'm going to hire my own people, my own booking agents. And of course, the world, you can't dictate how life is going to go. But he saw that early enough at his young age to say, I'm going to do things for myself and by myself. You see? Yeah. And that's how we have to start thinking. And nowadays, I'm seeing artists who are like, I've got my own show. It's on Thursday. It's at X. Mm-hmm. It's me. I'm organizing everything. Yeah. I've got my own team. I've got my own videographers. And we're shooting. We're doing everything for ourselves. Yeah. That person, trust me, he knows now, like, okay, so if I want this is who I speak to. If I want that, this is who I speak to. In 3 years, he's going to have his own TV production. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm. And I think that's where also we get it. So I meet a lot of guys and I say, guys come to me with ideas. I want to do 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm like, I like that idea. Let's go. Let's get cameras. Let's get guys with cameras. And I tell them, you don't need to have the cameras. Let's get guys with cameras. And let's sit on the table and say, gentlemen, the first line of our conversation is no money.
Yeah. Yeah.
The second line of our conversation is no BTV.
Yeah.
But this has to happen.
It has to happen, yes.
If BTV decides now we are no longer taking content, should we now just sit and say,
okay, yeah, it's done, it's finished.
And guys will be like, yeah, but what's the point of producing content and it doesn't go on TV? I'm like, but who watches TV? Who watches TV? You know what I mean? The way I used to be known when I was still doing the morning show, in my younger years, I was famous, I was popular, I was seen. Today, I've gone back to TV. I'm so irrelevant. I walk into a bank and I end up in a queue. Yeah. I never used to end up in a queue. Yeah. I end up in a queue now because no one watches TV. Right? You get William KRM, you get all the guys who are on TikTok. Man, they get, back in the day, I worked for government TV. It was nice. I would walk into a bank, people just move a little bit and I jump the queue. Yeah. I get a shot and I go out. Yeah. Today, the guys on TikTok are taking my platform.
Of course. Yeah, wait. I saw a video of Hollywood superstars.
They don't get recognition.
They're not getting recognition. I don't know what's true. They're like, what's going on with all these TikTok people? I'm like, the world is changing.
So why should we be producing content or putting ourselves, planning for platforms that are no longer that relevant?
Yeah. You have to switch up. And this is why in Botswana, we're very fortunate. That's why slowness sometimes is a good thing.
Yeah, slow stage.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because there's countries where we can't sit down like this.
Yeah.
Without getting a license, without getting this, without getting that. You see what I'm saying? And here, we can still do that. You can still get started, work at your own pace. And when you are ready, you feel like, okay, now I'm a production company.
I need to go and get a trade
license. Now let me get a trade license. Let me approach Bokra for a broadcasting license and whatnot. So you have pace. You can set yourself up and get moving at the pace that you want. Of course, in South Africa, it's the same thing,
Yeah.
right? But also, when you put your content out there, whatever platform you put it on, you also plug people you think can actually support that content.
Yeah.
And that's where, again, information is very important. A lot of people watch, when they say, oh no, I'm going to get into podcasting. You know what they do? They only watch podcasts.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but you're missing the point of the content that you're creating. Mm-hmm. What do you want to get out of that content? Oh, I want to get to a point that maybe, people pay to be on my content, on my channel. So then, don't just watch podcasts.
Yeah.
Go to YouTube. Watch as many interviews as possible.
Yeah.
And understand the process and why people have so many other people on their shows.
Yeah.
And what it leads to.
And you don't have to keep up to trending standards. You can be anything you want with what you've got.
Exactly.
The key thing is to start being what you want with what you've got.
Yeah.
So we are trying to see that happen. Mm-hmm. Right? We're trying to see generations that say, I don't necessarily need government for this. I can start this on my own. If it hits the right notes, let government come to. It's nice when someone comes to you because you call the shot.
Exactly. You have that's what
You've got leverage. Yeah.
And leverage is the basis of any financial transaction.
Yeah.
The one who has leverage is the one who sets the tone.
Yeah.
So if government comes to you, they're like, once they tell you, we like what you're doing.
Now you can invoice. Exactly. Now you know exactly how you're gonna invoice.
Now you can quote.
Yeah.
Quoting is. I always say, when someone says, "Give me a quotation," that is the biggest blessing.
Yeah.
That's like a white check. It's like, you know what? Just come up with an amount.
Hit me.
I already like it. So
yeah.
All I'm trying to establish is, can I afford it?
Yeah.
Give me an amount. That's it. And I get so many people. But Eddy, what do I quote? How do I? I'm like, listen, it's very simple. There's people who did this before you, and there's people who paid for this service before you. Go to both.
Mm-hmm.
Or when you did this, how much did you charge? Oh, now I charged 10,000. And you guys, when you paid for this service, how much did you charge? Now we ended up paying about 12,000. Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm an entry-level person. Let me start at 9.5.
Yeah.
And then you negotiate, and then you end up with both 7.
And that's why now we also always get it wrong, right? We just think about it and say, okay, no, this is the level of the event, and it's government. I'm going to hammer. You don't even understand that you need to price yourself in a way that allows you the space to enter the system.
I always say the best customer is a return customer.
Yeah,
if you want to hit once and run, good luck. Trust me, the person will pay. Because they like the service, they want the service. They will pay you, but best believe there's always somebody cheap.
Mm-hmm. And they'll always compare you.
They'll always
tell someone, this time not that guy.
Yeah,
it's expensive.
It's expensive.
Let's try someone new.
Thank you.
And this is what I've always had in procurement committees. No, let's try someone. You know what I mean?
And that's where we misunderstand the idea of a pioneer or a trailblazer. Because someone will say, you guys are doing it now, but do you know I started it? Yes, you started it. One, how many times did you do it after you started it? And are you still doing it now? If it's no to both, then you didn't start anything because you were not consistent.
Yeah, you never stayed on it.
You never stayed on it.
Yeah.
And the reason 9 times out of 10 you didn't stay on it is because you wanted to make the most out of the first person that walked through the door.
Yeah, and that's where the challenge comes. Just, you can't get it all at once.
No, you can't.
And right there and there. You gotta work to try and get it.
That's the beauty. Again, that's another positive of being in Botswana.
Yeah.
Because Botswana, you have the luxury of time. Trust me, bro. Any innovation in Botswana, people catch on after 5 years.
Yeah.
That means if you come up with a new idea, you have 5 years, easy to perfect it while making a little bit of something out of it.
Yeah.
Like you said correctly when we started. If you go too fast, you're going to crash.
Yeah.
But if it's steady, you know what you want to achieve. People will start coming slow. You have 5 people paying $5 each. Then you have 10 people paying $10 and and I mean, the story I like to tell is the corner couch story.
Yeah.
How it started just being smaller. The space was smaller than this room when they started.
Yeah.
It was a throwaway space. The owners of the place didn't know what to do with it. So these guys took a chance.
Yeah.
Right? And now they're in the space of 2 restaurants.
Yeah.
And then some. You see. And the owner always says, it was just slow progress. Just one thing after the other, one thing after
And
the other.
sometimes also when you feel you've got a bit of a rush to get something done and you think you are not in the right market, leave.
Yeah, switch up. Very
We
quickly.
are so afraid of leaving. You start something in Botswana, you are way ahead of your time, you are way ahead of the speed. Go somewhere else.
Go and learn.
Go and pitch it somewhere else.
Yes.
Make the quick money, get hit, come back crying. But you've
learned something. And trust me, when you come back here and you refocus yourself and you say after a few maybe 6 months to a year of rewiring yourself, now finding your center, and you say, okay, you know what? Let's do it again. Let's try something else.
Yeah.
You will do it it'll be so easy because I always say it's more important to know what you're not supposed to do than knowing what you're supposed to do. You might not have a goal in terms of this is what I'm supposed to be doing. But if you know what to avoid, you'll get somewhere. You'll get somewhere.
And I think that's the thing we need to also just teach Botswana. Like, there is nothing wrong with using your passport. That, first of all, is the cheapest passport to get in Africa. And the fastest to come out.
Thank you. And it's one of the strongest ones.
The strongest passport you've got.
On the continent.
So what's wrong with just using it? You know what I mean? So some people will sitting there and saying, I've been doing fashion design for so many years and I'm not getting there. This South African shops are not buying my product. Of course, they're not buying your product. You're not known. They don't know who you are.
They don't know you. Like, I mean,
if you think South African products,
why should I look all the way here when
I'm sitting where they say everywhere?
Exactly. There's 10 other fashion designers just down the road.
Yeah. So I think we need to then get people to understand that this thing of being afraid. I've seen some people who decide, okay, in Botswana, I'm making a turnover of $10,000 a week. It's not working for me. Go somewhere.
And you know what? Nobody's asking you to move.
You're not moving.
You can
just go.
Take a journey. Go over there. Spend some time.
See what the people are doing there.
Look at what they're doing. Come back. Try and see if from here you can tweak yourself a little bit, tweak your product to match what is requested there. After a few months, go back, check. Oh, is it better? Yes, we still need to improve here. And come back, do the same. Do you know who designed? I think if I'm not mistaken, do you know who designed Melrose Arc?
No.
The Botswana.
It's a Botswana.
The architect.
And it's sitting there. That thing.
The Botswana. Yeah.
So now, when do we leverage on this? When do we decide it's time for me to leverage? The African Continental Free Trade Area, my favorite subject in Africa, because I don't see the success. I'm not being negative.
Not yet.
but that thing is an illusion. It's a far-fetched dream, right? I love it, okay? And I love the whole idea.
Yeah.
But we still have people who are afraid, right? I've got a brand and I've built it here. It can't really go okay here. Let me borrow it to someone else. Botswana is not about
No.
Botswana is not about to sell.
You're going to sit on that. I'll tell you right now. I know someone. This is old man. He has a complete mobile studio. Complete. With the big screen and everything.
Yeah.
Complete done. That thing could, I don't know if it's still moving right now, could easily go from here to Durban.
Yeah.
And back. It could do the whole, and I was asking, why don't you just let someone else lease it to someone?
Yeah.
Have a some form of a how do you say, like a quotation type thing where you have different prices. Or if you want to go to up to Molepolole, this is how much you pay. If you want to go to Kanye, this is how much. If you're leasing it for a week, for a month, for 6 months, let it work for you. And all you have to do when it comes, you have your conditions, your T's and C's on the contract. When it comes back, you check. That's it. no, I prefer to do this thing myself.
we are hoggers.
And you know what happened? That thing wasn't moving. It was just at home, wear and tear. The elements.
Now, better technology has come through.
Thank you. Now you can do all of this thing on a camcorder.
Yeah.
On your phone. People move. People go on tour with an iPhone 15 and a wireless speaker.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But if you had started back then, you would still be people would still find value in your product even today. Because I always told them, I was like, especially in rural areas, you can partner with a movie company like World New Capital Cinemas.
Yeah, and do
nighttime movies over there for kids. And it's part of the CSR.
Yeah.
You do it for free. You drive out in the bundus, you set up your thing, you set up your speaker, and kids they can even sit on the ground. They don't need chairs.
Mm-hmm.
They sit on the ground, they watch a movie, and they come back.
So these are the things that we
small. Just
we let go of not
belief
wanting to do it. We're just afraid so much.
of
Now,
nothing.
that's why I say, are we going to fit into Africa? Is Botswana going to fit into Africa? Because we are not really in Africa. Geographically and physically, sure.
Inside.
But not in Africa.
No, I think there's definitely a space for Botswana in Africa. I think self-belief is very important.
Okay.
I think we just need to get to a point where we know who we are. So we're self-aware. We know who we are. We have that identity. You know what it means to be a Botswana in the continent.
Yeah.
Right? And I think once you start there, you start moving differently. You know what's interesting is when Africans come here, they see the difference.
Yeah. No,
They know that I'm in a
this
different
is not
country.
Africa.
I'm in a different world. And I tell people, I'm like, the reason that is because Botswana was never colonized.
Yeah.
So you retained your identity that was passed on to you by your ancestors. Yeah. There was no break. A lot of us, that 40, 50 years of colonization, for some people it's 100. It took away, there's a huge gap there. And then all of a sudden, you're given back to yourself and you don't know where to start. So what do you use as reference? The person who gave you your freedom.
Yeah.
You see. But here it's different. Now, what we have to figure out is how do we translate that into something that Africa can recognize?
Because it's bankable.
It's bankable. Yeah, it's a huge thing.
Yeah.
You being Kaelo and not being Eddy.
Yeah.
It's a big difference.
Yeah.
I can go around calling myself Mihigo or Botswana.
Yeah.
Because it just doesn't feel right for me.
Yeah.
But you can call yourself Kaelo and people call you Kaelo and and
it's fine.
Yeah, if your other name is Matthew, guys will feel weird calling you.
Yeah, you actually beg it aside.
Yeah, nah. You see, but in the rest of Africa, that's not how it is.
Yeah.
We take our African names and we hide it under a rock somewhere. Mm-hmm. And we stick to our English names. Just that.
But how do we capitalize on that? Because we don't see it. We're not from outside. We are in the box and we only see what's in the box. Right? Someone else sees the potential.
Yeah.
That's why people want to move to Botswana. That is why you find that, and I always say, population is very small here. When you drive along Block 8, right, you've got a lot of structures there built by foreigners. Yeah. That are selling, traders are selling this. Clearly, people have seen that. Mm-hmm. But how do we capitalize on making sure that whatever it is that defines us, we capitalize on it and actually bank it as a people?
Do you know what defines us right now? Two things. Animals and what's on or in the ground.
Yeah.
We're defined by the Okavango, the big five, basically, and what is growing and what's underneath, right? So right now we're defined by the country that we're in. I think we have to start defining ourselves as a people. If you go to South Africa, you go to KZN, and you close your eyes, what do you think about? You think about the ladies with the hats.
Yeah.
Think about the guys with the feathers. Yeah. You think
there's an identity.
There's an identity. There's a person.
There's a
human being. Yes. That specific place, personifies, right?
Yeah.
You can literally see it in your mind.
Actually, come to think of it, there was a girl who was asked about Botswana, and she said the women are pretty, but the men don't exist.
Imagine.
So it's because it's a lack of that definition.
Yes. So
every time I meet people, whenever I travel, and I say I'm from Botswana, like, the diamond country.
Exactly.
I'm like,
we're more than just.
We don't
So
get
it's almost like we're a warehouse.
Yeah, we're not a kavango. We're not the elephants. We're not the diamonds. We're not a jungle or a savannah there and the warehouse,
and the warehouse with
diamonds. Or a crawl with cattle.
With cattle. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? So,
yeah. So we sound like a cold room.
Yeah,
Actually, you go out there.
but it's not like these cows grow themselves,
Yeah.
feed themselves, skin themselves, and sell themselves. There are people who actually do all of these things.
Yeah, and it's because of the way we do it as a people.
Yeah.
That you know this thing.
Yes.
But we failed to market the Botswana.
Yeah. So what we need to do is those cultures that are amazing, that kept me here for as long as I've been here.
Yeah.
Right? The culture of community. I loved when after I got married. Before I got married, I was just a knucklehead. After I got married, actually the day I got married, traditional wedding, we're ushered into like an area, the kotla, right? We're ushered into the kotla. And then I'm told, you know what, you sit here. I sit down and someone brings me tea, right? And I'm told, you got to finish that tea. Mm-hmm. That tea is you being welcomed into the family as a man now.
Yeah.
And guess what? I turn to the right and my friends are coming in. And they want to sit in the kotla and I'm like, no. Mm-hmm. You are not men.
Yeah.
You are boys.
Go there.
Go there. If you want to sit with the ladies, go sit with the ladies. But here, it's men only. Mm. I'm like, ooh, rite of passage.
Yeah.
And this has been happening for centuries.
Yeah.
You see? And then afterwards, Eddie, you've been invited to a meeting. You're representing your family. There's a chair for you there.
Yeah.
I'm like, so now I also get it. Okay.
So that's a value that we don't capitalize on.
Yeah. And when people came in the morning at 5 a.m., all these Congolese doctors, they think they've made it in life that, hey, you have to sit.
Yeah, get on your knees.
Mm-hmm. No, but
bend that knee.
Or else,
touch the ground.
Or else we cancel this whole thing.
Yeah.
And you guys will figure yourselves out. You know what to do. They sat.
Yeah. But that's where it is.
That is huge. And that's what we need to do now. All those little things, right? The funerals, right? The weddings, the family meetings, the kotla meetings. When people come, and that kind of tourism, cultural tourism, is not taking people to the Okavango.
Yeah.
It happens in and around the city.
Yeah.
There's Moleps, there's Tamaha, there's Kanye, all these, there's Moshupa. There's places that have so much history, right? And still have so much culture, And when your friend comes from China, you take him there.
Yeah.
You take him there. He'll go back with so many stories.
And actually, they see a lot more than I would see. Like for me, I'm like, yeah, I'm just here. So
yeah, exactly. It's just another Saturday for you.
Yeah,
but that guy is like,
you're not doing anything. There's nothing special we're doing. For them, there's value in it.
Yeah, because they don't have that, or they haven't been able to experience something like that for so long. I remember I do hosting every once in a while. And last month, I had a gentleman that came to see me from the US via Johannesburg. So I took him to Matebele.
Okay.
Right? I'm like, you know what? We're gonna go outside town a little bit and have and I took him to a random bar.
Yeah.
I've never seen the amount of love that man got from other men.
Yeah.
Not from women, from other men. Oh my
being
God.
Received.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He was being hugged. Hey, so where you? And I'm like, and he was like, in the week I've spent here, this is the most fun I've had.
And that's why we need to try and leverage.
Yeah.
To try and build the Botswana. Because people, and I always tell people, do we know why the Europeans were buying our beef when they used to buy it a lot? Do we know why? I know it's from Botswana. I'm like, no. It's not about it's from Botswana. And we're losing the point that these guys were not buying the beef because it's from Botswana. They were buying it because of the way Botswana took care of their cattle. Right. The way they raised their cattle is what converted that cattle into a bankable state.
Yeah.
So, but we don't know how to capitalize on it.
Yeah. And
I'm not against it.
And we don't have to overthink.
Yeah.
It's not an overthinking thing.
Yeah.
And like I said, the people who have come here under my hosting program, it's just a phone call.
Yeah.
Phone call, they do their own booking, accommodation, everything. They come, and I just show them around the city.
Yeah.
That's it. Nothing complicated.
Show them things they don't know.
Exactly. We go, we have some seswa. We go, we have some bright meats. We go to Mochudi and sit outside B6. They don't know that. They don't know that actually there's places where you can have a building empty with just a bar. The building is empty inside, and outside
The people
there's 500 people.
and they want to be there.
Exactly. And they're there comfortably.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is odd. Why aren't they sitting inside? I'm like, well, that's how we are.
And I think a few of the guys also who have been around with it, come from outside, would go to fashion lounge.
Yeah.
You know? And exactly at 3 o'clock, without the sound going down, as soon as, I think the fashion lounge used to close at 3 at the time. Around 1:30, 2 o'clock, people are disappearing from the club.
Yeah.
Then the guy says,
what's
"Well," I'm
happening?
like, because it's almost time.
That's right.
People know they must drive home. They must go home. He's like, no, but don't they wait for the cops to
Like,
come and share?
no.
Like, so we don't.
Why?
Our cops must do other things.
Yes.
They must make sure when I get to my gate,
That's
there's
right.
no criminal.
Thank you.
Not to patrol the bars and no. So they then said, but is there a law that forces you to? I'm like, no, there's a law that says the club closes at 3. However, it's in me as a Botswana to know I must go home.
Yes. It's time out.
It's time to go home.
Yes.
You know, I don't need you to tell me.
To literally
He's
sweep
like,
me
but
out
this
of
is
the club.
different. I'm like, yeah, but that's
We
are
that's how
different
we
in
are.
that sense. You know, the way we handle ourselves, our diamonds are not the story to tell. The way that we handled our diamonds in 1975 to today is what defines who we are.
Thank you.
The price of the diamond is not about the people. I mean, it's not about the diamond itself.
Yeah.
Anyone can dig a diamond and sell for 1,000 pudi.
Yeah.
But where it comes from, the people around that diamond, the culture around that diamond is what makes the price higher.
Yeah.
That's the luxury. The luxury is not the product. The luxury is us.
You know, the fact that you can have a country which I think we're second or third largest
No,
commercially.
Commercially, we are second.
We're second,
No, we are
right?
number one, thanks to Russia.
The issue with Russia right now. So we're first at the moment, right?
But we don't have the deposits.
Yeah.
Deposits
Exactly, of course. I'm saying like commercially means
commercially,
from the ground to the
ring.
to Tiffany's.
Yeah.
So you can imagine that, but still you come into the country, people are just living their lives.
Man, I don't even know it.
You know, people some people are like, well, I've never even seen one. Like, but how but the diamond trade does for the country what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
As a Botswana, I still get into my car, go to work every morning. On Saturday, I park my car, get into my old van, go to my cattle post, and watch cattle all day.
Yeah.
It's like,
and diamonds have got nothing to do with it in my life. Yes, diamonds are provided for the security, the roads and everything, the infrastructure.
It's doing
but
what
diamonds don't define me.
No, they don't.
But I rather define the diamond because every time you see a Botswana, you are thinking, whoa, diamond land.
Yes.
And it's because we have more diamonds. Come on, go to DRC, go to Sierra Leone, go to Lesotho. Yeah. Diamonds are flowing everywhere. Yeah. But we are the diamond and I think the way the president has always sold us in the past year, that we are the diamond. You people think the diamond is this thing.
No.
We are the diamond.
Because
if we are not, the fact that we're not killing each other for them
I was about to say that.
Got value.
I was about to say, trust me, any other country, Orapa wouldn't exist.
Yeah.
You know what would have happened? Someone would have said, you know what? We don't know what happens behind those walls. Let's bomb rush that place.
And go and see.
And
we see the diamond passing every day and count them one by one.
See? But you can live I know people who live 40 years, they've never stepped into Orapa.
Yeah.
And they're like,
I don't even know how to get there. I've never actually applied for a permit to enter Orapa. And I don't think I have a reason to.
Thank you.
I've never been inside joining mine. I have no reason to go there. So my other life goes on.
Your life goes on.
I'm not. Yeah. It doesn't pay me to be there. It doesn't. If anything, it facilitates. The less I know about it, the better it is for me.
Thank you. So
you know what I mean?
And this is why, like, some people say, "Well, Eddie, Botswana." I'm like, "Hey, man, listen. If you wanna come to Botswana to look for opportunities, come and look for them. Yeah. If you want to come to Botswana and look for diamonds,
Forget it.
Good luck.
Forget it.
Good
You're
luck.
looking for the wrong thing.
Good luck. So definitely you're right. Like the people is what we need to shop.
Yeah.
The people is what we need to sell. The people is the tourism of the country. I mean, the Okavango will always do what it's supposed to do. What happens if it dries up tomorrow?
Yeah. You know?
You know? And that's a conversation I was having with one of my guests who came in last week.
Yeah.
Because he's like, yeah, but you need to diversify the economy. And I said, yeah, that's true. And true diversification is not always having to go back to those 2 or 3 things.
Yeah.
It's using those things to build other things that we can go into. So we have beef, we have diamonds, we have flora and fauna. Awesome. But we also have people.
Yeah.
We also have basket weavers. When you go see the basket weavers, you're not going there to see baskets.
Yeah.
You're going there to see the person who's weaving the basket.
And it's because of that skill and that knowledge that gets you to actually want to be personal with the product.
That's
want
right.
to see
Exactly, because you know where it's coming from. You can literally point out to say, this lady in this picture
has
the one who made this basket that's on my wall right now.
Yeah.
You
So
see?
and that's why now we need to also try and invest. Invest in marketing the people.
Yes.
And pushing the people to understand the value that they've got.
Thank
you. You look at Maui, right? There's a drive to convert Maui into a city, right? It's a brilliant idea. I mean,
it's an idea. I don't know if it's brilliant, but it's an idea. I'll call it an idea. Yeah.
I'm working my head left, right, and center to see how do we convert that into a city. Are we saying a green city without the big roads, but with more people, which calls for bigger roads, or how are we going to handle it? Because Maung sells now, because there's a time I was actually in Maung, just on my own, and I literally walked past the guy, right? And I turned and I said, I know that guy. Now the guy's skin is dark enough to think he's just a local guy.
Yeah.
And I said, no, I know that guy. I turned again and I walked fast. And I said, excuse me, and he turned. I said, oh, don't chill.
Yes.
He's chilling.
Yeah.
He's not.
Yeah.
So these guys are coming there with that big Hollywood money to spend it there because of how it is.
Thank you.
I don't know if we need to make it a city or rather make it comfortable.
No. I think Maun is fine.
It's fine.
It's fine. The discomfort is part of the appeal.
Okay.
You know, the fact that you can have the fan on and all you are feeling is just hot air.
Yeah.
Just
and
have
when you switch off the fan, comes in.
You know, all of that is part of the appeal. You know,
Right.
it's part of, that's what people come for. They want to come for that. They already live super comfortable lives. They fly in private jets. So every once in a
They're
while.
always on traffic.
Yeah.
They hear hooters everywhere.
Every once in a while, they just want peace, quiet, and the elements.
So what do you think should be done? Should Maung be the focus for the city, or should Khanzi be the focus for the city?
I think
I'm not saying Khanzi because I'm from there. No. But
You're
ideally, it's only 245 kilometers out.
Yeah.
So you're not far from the Delta. You're also within our Texas.
Yeah.
So should we make Khanzi?
I think it's either you grow Francistown.
Now, Francistown has got no point of growth. People will fall under the gold mines. There's no point of growth there. It's finished.
Or because I look at Francistown, and then the closest thing to Mount from there is Nata. But Nata,
no.
Nata because,
I think is it Gumare somewhere?
Yeah, and then there's the salt pans right next door. There's
you
the
can't disturb
sanctuary.
that.
There's the right. I think there's the sanctuary as well. So Nata is.
Yeah.
So your next best guess is of course Hansi,
because
what I've noticed is now, interestingly, you find people who fly from Windhoek, private.
Yeah.
They land in Hansi. Because I get it, there's a private.
Yeah, there's an airstrip there in town. Yeah.
They land in Hansi and then they trek to Mau.
Yeah.
That's already happening.
Yeah.
It's and you get a lot of charter flights between Maun and Hansi.
Yeah.
So I think naturally, Hansi is already buzzing. There's already a lot of activity in Hansi. And I think Hansi is flat enough. Mm-hmm. You know, it's flattened, and there's a lot of just farms between Hansi and Mamuno border. Yeah. You know, because I've lived in Charles Hill, which is, you know, right next to the border. Yeah. So I think and you know, you don't have to have a big city. Mm-hmm. just something cute,
Nice,
comfortable.
Guys in shorts and brown shirts.
Thank you. Like a mini version of Cape Town.
Yeah.
Where you
No pressure.
No pressure. Because the people that will come there, they want that comfort on their way to
the real
to
comfort,
the real
to real quiet and peace.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So that if I've got, because we're talking people who have a lot of money here, right? If they're talking, there's some work I need to do ASAP. I need to find a place where I can sit down and talk and have a meeting. Yeah. They can charter a helicopter ride.
Yeah.
From Maun to Hansi.
Do what they do.
Do what they need to do, and then in 2 days they're back in the wilderness.
Yeah.
You see, I think that's the appeal, right? And I think maybe in terms of what government wants to do, I think that's what they're thinking about as well, to say, okay, we want to give these guys an option. Mm-hmm. But I think Maun is the wrong place to do that, because they upgrade the airport in Maun?
Yes, upgraded.
I wouldn't even have touched it.
It's the busiest airport in Southern Africa.
Because once you upgrade it to like commercial level, it stops being the busiest small airport in Africa.
The elephants start running further away.
You see?
You
see? So it's
potentially
got
making the city going to kick out. It's going to kick out the animals.
Yes, it will.
So now
and it's going to dry. It's going to, trust me. Again, I'm in the field, so I know. Yeah. And it's going to dry up the delta.
Yeah, so it's going to affect the delta.
Because now you start thinking about, okay, where we're going to get resources from.
Yeah.
And once people start thinking, even if you say, do not touch the delta, I'll give you an example. You know that there's a black market of reuse of grey water in the city.
Yeah, no, there is. Yeah, and they touch it, they get it from.
Yeah.
So it's going to happen there.
There. And you know where they're going to get it from, right?
From the Kavango. They're going to pump.
Yeah.
So I think.
So I think it's a bad idea. Mm-hmm. I really think, like you said correctly, find something. Do feasibility studies. Look at, okay, can we gain from NATA? No. Like we've just done a feasibility study.
Yeah, so NATA cannot.
NATA cannot. Francis Town.
There's too much going in the east, so rather
go this way.
Go slightly to the west.
So what's the best bet? Oh no, actually, Hansi sits nicely equidistant to Maun on this side and to the border on that side. To the south, I think it's Kang.
Yeah.
There's a lot of space around there. Okay, all we have to do is probably just entice the farm owners.
Start negotiating with the farm owners. Let's move you slightly further out.
Give them incentives on how they can benefit from giving up part of their land, and build a nice little jewel nyana.
All right.
And we win.
All right. So now, in ending this, what should we look forward to for this year? Because there's not a lot I've seen. The biggest buzz is 34 million sitting somewhere for political parties, but we can't tap into that.
Yeah.
But what do you see within the creative space?
I said, in terms of the budget, I said, guys, it's not about the money you're getting. It's about putting yourself where the money is elsewhere. Yeah. So even that 34 million.
Yeah, maybe creatively you could find your way into
your way inside there.
I mean, all these parties need to campaign, and actually campaigning is a creative art.
Thank you.
Which means if I produce T-shirts, not just the red T-shirts, other colors also, I'll make money from.
Yeah.
Whoa, okay, that makes sense.
So there's
34 million is actually there for the creative industry.
There's platforms like this where you can be clear. All right, cool. I'll tell you. In Congo, they have like multi-party debates, right? And that's not done on national TV because you know.
Yeah, of course, it's not gonna happen.
The strong control the elements, right? So it's not gonna happen on national TV. You know who does it? It's the podcasters.
Yeah. They're the ones giving them the platform.
Yeah, and they put it on YouTube. Yeah. And people comment like there's no tomorrow. So, tap into that. Yeah, tap into that.
No, I'm looking at the 34 million. I'm thinking T-shirts, linears, drone videos.
There's a lot.
That 34 million is not for politicians. It's not for political parties.
It's for you guys.
It's for the creative
industry. Because these political parties need you for voters. Campaigning is no longer just a huge field with someone with one of those overhead things. Those days are gone. Now you want to reach people in their homes on their cell phones.
Yeah, you gotta create the content out there, put everything out there. Now, if a political party used to print 25,000 T-shirts because they never had part of the 34 million, now they can print 250,000 T-shirts.
That's right. And where are they going to do that?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think we need to tap into.
So we need to tap into that.
I've been thinking 34 million for politicians.
You've got
we're spoiling them.
You've got
the
digital
corrupt people.
digital marketing campaigns.
Yeah.
Because now you need to every person who is vying for a post, right, needs their own.
They need to be visible.
Yeah, need their own Facebook page.
Yo.
They need to be on TikTok.
They need to be visible. They need to have content out there.
Thank you.
So 34 million pula for political party funding is actual for the creative.
Yes.
All right. Eddy, thank you very much for your time, bro.
Thank you for having me.
That's how we wrap up the Think Said Go podcast. Until we meet again, have a good day.